My stepdaughter finally called me mom. I cannot explain how long I've waited to hear her call me her mother. But the moment she did, I felt something break inside me. Not from joy, but from the pain of knowing why she really said it. She only said it because she wants my son's kidney. Let me explain. My name is Susan. I'm 52 years old. I think it would be fair to say that I've lived enough life to know when someone's being honest or when they're putting on a face. That's why when I married Greg, I didn't expect his daughter Paige to run into my arms with open affection. She was 15 when we got married, right at that age where everything feels like betrayal. I didn't blame her for struggling to accept me. I knew she missed her mother. I was more than happy with just being tolerated. I never wanted to try and be her mom. I knew she would hate that. I was confident that with time we would get closer to each other. I have a son of my own, too, Noah. He was only 9 when Greg and I met. His father, my previous husband, left when he was 2, and I'd been raising him alone ever since, until I met Greg. After my last marriage, I had pretty much washed my hands of dating again. But Greg was so nice, I had to give it a try. We really hit it off, and pretty soon, he proposed. Marrying Greg felt like building something new for all of us. 2 broken pieces coming together and trying to make something whole. But I always knew I would have to work harder with Paige. She made it almost crystal clear that the only reason she wasn't against me getting married to her dad was because he cares a lot about me. So I knew I had to really try with her. And I never tried to take her mother's place. Not once. I told her that from the beginning. I just wanted to be a safe space for her. A woman in her life who would care, who would listen, and who would always be there for her. So, I made it clear that she could depend on me for anything. And I tried my best, too. I helped with her school projects, packed her lunch, and drove her to dance classes. I did it all, not because I had to, but because I loved her. I never even asked for a thank you back. I never tried extra hard to get her to like me. I just did things for her that I would do for my own son. I treated her just like she was my kid. But unfortunately, she never warmed up. It was like she was dead set on not caring about me at all. At first, it was small things like ignoring me at dinner and not responding when I wished her good morning. But as she got older, the distance grew. She never yelled or acted out. She was always polite enough not to cause trouble in front of Greg. But the coldness, that was loud enough. She didn't like spending time with me or my son. She treated me like I was an outsider instead of her family. Believe me, I tried to get her to care about me, but nothing worked. She didn't like me from the bottom of her heart, and she hated Noah even more. It hurt me more to see how she treated him than how she treated me. He would try year after year to talk to her like a brother. He'd ask her to play with him, invite her to his games. She never came, never showed him anything but indifference. Although Greg never saw any of Paige's problems with me, he definitely saw this. He tried his best too. Paige just didn't want to be involved with us more than she had to, and I had to understand it. I couldn't force her to play family with us. Still, I made excuses for her and told myself she was hurting. I stayed patient. I stayed kind. But when she moved out at 18 and stopped calling or visiting, I stopped hoping. You can only try to love someone for so long before you run out of ways to reach them. I'm not saying that my love for her died. It's still there. But I did feel really bad that she never called or anything. 3 years passed without so much as a birthday text. I didn't push. I focused on my son, who was becoming a fine young man. I focused on Greg, who tried to hold the family together in his own quiet way, and focused on myself and my happiness. And then suddenly Paige came back. She showed up one afternoon just after I got back from grocery shopping. She looked thinner, tired, but she smiled at me for the first time in years and said, "Hi, Mom." I nearly dropped everything I had in my hands. I didn't cry. I didn't make it dramatic. I just smiled and asked her to come in. I had to remind myself multiple times that this couldn't be a dream. I also started thinking if something was wrong with her. I had spent years trying to get her to warm up to me, and after a few years without even contact, she came in calling me Mom. I then decided to focus on the positive and not think of the negative. I told myself maybe after staying outside, She realized that I really did love her, and she wanted to mend our broken relationship. But it felt a bit weird to hear her be this kind to me. She was warm, too warm. She asked about Noah, about me, about Greg. She complimented the curtains in the kitchen she always said were ugly. I wanted to believe the miracle had finally happened. Maybe time had changed her, but I'm not stupid. The longer our conversation went on, the worse I started feeling about all this. There was a weight behind her words, a forced sweetness. The more she talked, the less it felt real. Later that evening, she sat me down and told me the truth. She has kidney failure. She needs a transplant. And Noah, my son, is a match. I listened quietly. It hurt to hear what she was going through. And it hurt the same to find out why she was acting nice with me. Why did she call me mom? She said that Noah will never agree to help her after everything that has happened between them. That he probably hates her, which is true. But maybe, just maybe, if I talked to him, if I explained, he might listen to me. I wanted to tell her that I cannot do anything like that. But before I could talk, she begged me and said, "Mom, please, I really need your help." She apologized for her past behavior and promised to be better. All she wanted was for me to help her this once, to just want to try and see if I can convince Noah to help her. The rest of the decision is up to him. I genuinely couldn't decide, so I told her to give me some time. She has gone back to her place for now, and I have a few days to think. I haven't even told this to Greg because I don't want him to share this burden with me. It will be even harder on him to either ask me to convince my son or say no to his own daughter. I understand that Paige is in trouble, and I have always treated her like my daughter. Normally, I would not hesitate to help, no matter how she has acted with me in the past. I have never cared about all that. But this time it is different. She is asking me to convince my son to give a part of himself to a person he doesn't even like. After he tried to be a good sibling to her and got rejected so badly, he never looked back. He hates her just as much as she hates him. How would it be fair to ask him to do something like this for me? I'm really struggling with this decision. Please tell me what I should do. Comments. Bad opinions, Max. I don't understand what the big issue is here. Your daughter is not asking you to cut the kidney out of your poor son. She is just asking for help. What the hell is wrong with you? Can you not put your past aside and talk to your son once and see if he wants to help? You claim that you love her like your daughter. But nobody in that position would even have to think about this decision. If you care about her, then you have to do this. If you don't, then there is no reason to come here in the first place. Update 1. Hello again. Susan here. I didn't expect to be back so soon, but I'm starting to realize that holding all of this inside me might just break me. I've been carrying this choice like a weight on my chest. Thank you to everyone who left comments. Some of you were very kind. Others, well, I suppose I understand where the anger's coming from. I know this whole situation sounds like something out of a bad soap opera, but I swear to you, it's very real and it's my life. And to the people claiming I don't love Paige and just want to suffer, I want you to know this. Why would I even be discussing this if that were the case? I already made it clear that if it were my kidney, I would have given it to her, no questions asked. But I cannot make my son do it. You have to understand my situation here. I've barely slept, I've barely eaten, and for the first time in a long time, I've kept something from Greg. But not anymore. Last night after dinner, when the house was quiet and the dishes were put away, I told him. I didn't sugarcoat it either. He already knew Paige was sick. She did speak to him from time to time, but he didn't know what was happening. I told him that Paige needed a transplant, and she was begging me to manipulate my son into giving her his kidney. I explained to him how she was pressuring me to push him to do this, and even suggested that she would be a good daughter to me forever if I did that. Greg sat there frozen. I could see the heartbreak cracking through his calm. He asked me if that was the reason she came back and finally spoke to me. I didn't have to answer. He knew. He didn't get angry, not at me, but he looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Paige is his daughter. No matter how strained their relationship has been lately, she's still his little girl. To realize that she might be faking a relationship with me just to survive, that kind of truth hits deep. But I'm not mad at her. I just wish she had just honestly asked me instead of trying to manipulate me into doing whatever she wanted. Greg stayed silent for a while. He didn't beg me to do it. He didn't push. He just looked at me and said that whatever I decide is my decision. He doesn't want to be involved in this at all. He cannot make that choice for me and will be happy with whatever I decide. I knew he was going to do something like that. After that, I took quite a lot of time to make my decision, and now I've made it. I love Paige, and I'm still heartbroken that after all these years, her first act of closeness toward me came with a string attached. But I will not guilt my son. I will not use my love for Paige to buy her a kidney at the cost of my son's peace. I will tell Noah what is going on, but I will not try to influence whatever decision he makes. And as for Paige, I've decided. I'm going to tell her I won't do what she asked. I won't try to convince Noah. If she wants him to help her, she can ask him herself, honestly, without pretending to love a family she never wanted. I may love her, but I will not help her lie. Not to me, not to him, not anymore. I'll be seeing her tomorrow, and I'm going to say all of this to her face. I'll let you know how it goes. Update 2. Hi guys, it's been a few days and I did it. I told Paige the truth, and now I feel like my heart has been torn in half. But at least I know I did the right thing. She made sure that I wouldn't struggle with my decision later on. Let me explain. I went to her apartment yesterday evening. She greeted me with that warm practice smile again, called me mom and offered me tea. I declined both. I asked her if we could sit and talk. I had something important to say. As soon as I entered her house, I started recording our conversation. By this point, you already know how manipulative Paige is, so I didn't want to take any chances. Believe me, I didn't like doing it, but prevention is better than a cure. After that, I didn't keep her in suspense for too long. I just directly told her that I was not going to do what she asked me to. I told her I just couldn't. She reacted like I had told her she was going to die because of me. I explained to her that I can't ask Noah to give her his kidney. I told her I would think about it, and I did. I've barely slept, but I won't guilt my son into something this huge, especially after how she has treated him all her life. All I can offer her is a chance to tell him what's happening herself and roll the dice. I even offered to tell him what's going on, but I was not going to emotionally manipulate him because she called me mom. That smile. It vanished instantly. Her whole expression changed like she dropped a mask. She then said that she knew that all these years all I had done was pretend to care about her and love her, and now when she really needed me, I was abandoning her. I told her if all of it was actually acting, I would have no reason to come here and explain my decision to her. I would not even have taken a second to decide. How she has treated me in the past would not have hurt me even a bit, and I would not give a flying F what happens to her after this. But I did not do any of that because I genuinely care. If not for seeing how she has treated me all these years, I would not even have wasted a second of my life on her. After hearing this, she stood up so fast her chair scraped across the floor. She asked me to stop the BS. She knew I always thought of my son as my own and her as an extended family. I told her I was the only one who thought of the other as family. And even if the situation were reversed between my son and her, I would have never asked Greg to manipulate her decision. She said she never accepted me because I was a discount mom for her. She didn't want to replace the woman who gave birth to her and raised her. I told her I was never trying to replace her mom. All I wanted was for her to love and care about me just like I did with her. Those words hurt more than I expected, but I didn't cry. I just asked her if all the loving daughter attitude she picked up recently was fake and just to get me to do this for her. Of course, she said. She almost laughed when she asked me if I really believed she cared. She explained that she has hated me since the day Dad brought me home. She even said that I and my stupid son ruined her family. She said she could never love someone like me ever. That completely broke whatever part of me that was doing fine. My hands were trembling, but I didn't show it. I just looked at her and thanked her for telling me the truth. So, I stood up, took a deep breath, and walked to the door. Before I left, I told her that I really tried to care for her and make our family one happy family. But she was the one who never accepted me. She didn't respond. She just asked me to get out. I don't even know how I'm going to tell Greg about this. He will be gutted to hear our daughter talk like this. At least now I don't feel guilty for not helping her. Update 3. Hello again. It's Susan. I had planned on waiting a bit before writing again, but things have gone from painful to something else entirely. I thought the worst part of this situation was behind me saying no to Paige and hearing the truth from her own mouth. But I was wrong because Paige has gone nuclear. I never thought she would try to do something like this. It started with a phone call from Greg's sister. She called me yesterday morning asking me how I could be so cruel. I thought she was joking at first. She asked, how could I convince Noah to go back on his word like that? How do I sleep at night after doing something like this? My blood ran cold. I asked her what on earth she was talking about. She said Paige had told everyone that Noah had agreed to give her his kidney, but I convinced him to change his mind out of jealousy. I wanted Paige to suffer. Before I even spoke with her about my decision, she had gone around telling our relatives that Noah had already agreed. That is how messed up this was. And after I told her I was not going to do it, she blamed me and said Noah changed his decision. I couldn't even respond. I just hung up the phone and sat down. I knew Paige was manipulative. I knew she was willing to lie. But to tell the entire family, my husband included, that my son had agreed to help and I ruined it out of spite, that was a new level. And the worst part, it worked. Although she only told Greg that I had asked my son not to do it even after he had agreed. Greg came home looking like someone had punched him in the chest. He didn't yell. He didn't even raise his voice. But the hurt in his eyes was like a knife to the heart. He asked me quietly if it was true. He asked me if I had asked my son not to go through with it. I told him no. I told him that Noah probably doesn't even know about this. And then he hit me with, why would all of his family tell him all this? Why would his daughter lie? He looked like he didn't believe me. And that's when I knew it was time. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recording, and hit play. I watched Greg's face as Paige's words filled the room. She is telling me she never loved me, calling Noah my stupid son, saying she faked everything just to get the kidney, mocking the idea that I actually believed she cared, saying she hated me from the moment she met me, admitting that yes, she pretended just to manipulate me, and if I wasn't going to help her, then I was useless. The silence afterward was something I won't forget. Greg didn't move, didn't blink. He just stared at the floor like the air had been sucked out of the room. I apologized to him for doing this, but there was no other way to convince him. I told him about how I recorded our conversation just in case. He finally looked at me. His eyes were glassy, his voice shaking. He couldn't believe that his daughter was capable of something like that. He actually started apologizing to me, telling me it was all his fault. I told him I raised her as much as he did, so I cannot really throw this one on him. I told Greg that I do love her just as much, but I can't really let her do something like this. He told me that what she did was completely wrong, and she deserves to get outed. But something has changed now. Greg has decided to talk to Paige himself. He's going to find out how deep this manipulation goes, and why she told so many people such a huge lie. I don't know what will come of it. I'm sure she is just going to try and lie to him, but it will not work. Meanwhile, I am explaining to everyone else what is actually happening. Fortunately, none of this has reached Noah's ears, but it won't be long before he finds out. I think it would be better if I told him myself. Update 4. Hi everyone. It's Susan, and this is my last update. I think this will be the last time I post about this. I don't know what comes next, but for now, the truth is out. All of it. Let me explain. The day after I played Paige's recording for Greg, I was planning on sitting Noah down and telling him everything. But before I even had the chance, he called me. His voice was calm, but I could hear the tension. He just asked what was going on. He said he was coming home, and I told him I would explain. Then when he walked through the door, he gave me this look. Worried, confused and already bracing himself for the worst. Greg and I sat him down and told him everything. From the moment Paige re-entered our lives to the second I confronted her and recorded our conversation. The most surprising part about this was that Noah was not surprised at all. Then he told us something that made Greg physically recoil. Turns out Paige's health problems weren't quite as urgent as she made them seem. Noah heard from a friend who is close to Paige's best friend that things were not that serious. Her condition is being managed. Her doctors were recommending lifestyle changes and monitoring, but she could live like this for quite a while. The transplant wasn't some do or die emergency. She just didn't want to deal with the hassle of long-term treatment. So, she thought the fastest way out was to pressure the one person she believed was gullible enough to help me. Greg immediately made some calls. We reached out to an old friend who knew some people in the hospital. It took some effort. But yes, Paige was twisting the truth. She could need a transplant in the future. But she wasn't even close to being prioritized. The doctor was stunned that she had even talked about a transplant from a relative when they were still in the middle of other treatments. But that's not all. Noah then said something else that left both of us speechless. He told us Paige had been doing drugs on and off for a while now. It wasn't public, and she wasn't the kind of addict people picture, but he was kind of sure that she was still using. According to what he had heard, she had been using drugs on and off since college. And it wasn't hard to guess why her kidneys had started failing. After a lot of discussion, the doctors confirmed it with the results. The real reason her kidneys were failing, long-term damage from drug use. Greg went silent for a long time that night. He sat in the living room alone for over an hour. I didn't go to him. I knew he needed to sit with this. It was all a lot to process. How far gone she had become and how she used everyone around her, including me. The next morning, Greg checked her into a rehabilitation center. She fought. She screamed. She cried. She said we were ruining her life. Then she said I had poisoned him against her, that it was all my fault. Greg didn't even listen to her. He just told her that all of this was her fault. The only mistake I had made was loving someone like her. He told her that she didn't deserve a person like me in her life. He told her she would not be allowed back into our lives until she completed treatment and stayed clean. And here's the part that broke me a little until I forgave her. She cried, begged, fell to her knees. But Greg said that he didn't care. She said he was her only actual family, and he told her not anymore. She then looked at me, and I told her that she doesn't even need to try. I told her I am not going to forgive her anytime soon. Greg was happy with my decision because I meant what I said before. I love her. Yes, I raised her like my own. But love doesn't mean letting someone use you. Love isn't turning a blind eye when someone lies, manipulates, and breaks hearts to get their way. So she's gone now. For the first time, Greg is angry with her, truly angry. And Noah, he told me he's relieved I never tried to pressure him. He said he's proud to have me as a mom. As for me, I'm heartbroken. I'm tired, but I'm also at peace because I know I did the right thing. I loved her as best as I could, and when the time came, I protected my son from the burden she tried to place on him. I don't know if a person like Paige can ever change. I don't even know if I will ever forgive her. I just feel bad about how much all of this hurt Greg, but he will be fine. The family that loves him is with him. Comments. Lex Luthor, I don't want to sound like a victim blamer here, but the daughter did not do much wrong. It is not super wrong to try and give yourself a good life. Do you understand how complicated life is with one kidney? How much do you have to sacrifice for that? She just felt that OP's son was better suited for that sort of life. So, she tried to get him to give her his body part. There's no way she could have forced him to do this. So, at the end of the day, it would be his decision no matter who asks him. She just really badly wanted that kidney transplant. Does that make her the enemy? I don't think so.